Hi and welcome back with another tutorial video. In this video we will be looking at how we can bake our textures for our assets or for our 3D characters in Zbrush. So in the last video we did the UVs for some part of our assets for this character. So I want to bake textures for this asset, and I want to bake these subtools into a single texture map. So I showed you how to combine UVs in the last video, so I will be just baking textures in this video. So in order to bake texture, I will be using this Multimap exporter plugin that shipped with Zbrush. Let me just dock it on the side. So you can see that we can bake our displacement, vector displacement, normal, albedo, ambient occlusion, and cavity maps. These are the 6 maps that can be baked in Zbrush. So for displacement maps and for each and every of these maps, we have the settings here. For example, we have we will be making displacement map as well, so I will be just checking it up as well. And you can see that by default it's telling this to generate our maps from a subdivision level from the lowest to the highest, so that's also set it up here. We also have this scale unit, and if we also want to do smooth UVs so that the displacements are nice and clear. And there is one more thing, that if you're trying to bake a 16-bit scale map, then you should check it up, otherwise you can just bake a 32-bit by default. And also there is one more thing, which is to get scale, which is better because displacement is scale dependent, and it is very important to check this option as well. So you can see that Zbrush will automatically be checking getting the scale for every subtool and calculate an average on these basis. So I will abort it right now because it was taking some time. We can also do a vector displacement map, but I won't be doing it right now because mainly the maps we need for our character is just this displacement, normal, albedo, ambient occlusion, or sometimes the cavity map as well. So in order to bake the normal map, and so I will be checking this adaptive option. It tells Zbrush to be more accurate on baking the normal maps, and I will be turning this smooth UVs button as well. So you can bake the normal map in the tangent space if you want to, or you can just bake it in the local space as well. And we have this we can also flip the channels of our normal app by just clicking or checking these buttons here. So for example, if you want to use or enter your character in Maya, then you won't need to flip the green channel. But if you are using it for some other program, then you might need to flip the green channel according to your program. For the ambient occlusion, it's the same as masking by ambient occlusion. For example, if I go under my masking tab and go under my AO tab and click on mask by ambient occlusion, and you can see my mask has been generated, and it's somewhat kind of not so visible, but you can see that this grayed out button shows up. For example, if I click on here, some kind of mask is generated on the gray areas. For example, if I increase the intensity, then you will be able to see. Okay, sorry, I wasn't on this subtool. Yeah, so if I mask by emptying the occlusion, so you can clearly see the mask right now, and this mask will be translated onto our mesh, onto the texture for the AO map. So because you can see that the AO has the same setting, so you can see that the AO map will have the same settings as this masking panel. We have the same AO occlusion intensity and the scan distance, which were the same settings that we have in the masking tabs here. So we can adjust those settings according to here and check the mask onto our mesh, and we can just bake it and change the settings. For example, if I want the AO to be a bit more intensive, I can just check by mask and set the same settings onto this tab here. For example, I can just make it more intense from here. And for the cavity map, it is also the same as in the mask by cavity. For example, if I go to my highest subdivision level and click on this mask by cavity, and you can see that this is what will generated into the final map. This is how our cavity map will look like. So let's just bake all the maps. So in order to bake this, we can just yeah, there is one more thing, which is the mesh export. For example, if we want to export our meshes with the textures as well, we can just select this export mesh, and under the mesh export tab we can tell Zbrush to export the subdivision level that's onto our model, and there are below settings whether we like the quads to be exported or we want it to be triangulated and exported as tries. We can also flip faces on the mesh export. We can also merge the UVs when exporting the mesh, and if we want, we can export our polygroups as materials as well. So these are all the settings when baking your textures. So there is one more thing which is this map size. So I want to bake right now at 4K. So I will be putting 4096 map size, and I can just click on these presets here. There is also this map border, which is the shell padding, UV shell thickness, and we can also tell this to bake for just the visible subtools, because I have all these meshes packed into a single UV shell, so I want these meshes to be baked into a single texture, and I want the maps to be merged together as well. So I can just click on this create all maps button, and let me export it into a separate folder. And yeah, so I will click on export. Let me select this AO and cavity map as well. So create all maps, export, and let Zbrush do the thing. It will take maybe 10 to 20 minutes for the baking. So I will just pause my video and will resume when the baking is done. So you can see that it took some time to bake all the texture maps, and here we have all the baked maps. We can see that we have this bump textures, which is for a single subtool. For example, we have our face in one, we have our cape in the other, and so on. So, and we also have this diff textures, which is the combined texture for all the subtools, and you can see that it has been baked very cleanly here, and all the texture are there. And for the normal, you can see that the normal are baked very cleanly in Zbrush. And we have this cavity map here, and there we have the AO map. So let's check how this looks in some other tool. For example, I will be showing it up in Multimap toolbar. And let me just drag and drop all of my meshes here. Let me change the field of view because I was using a somewhat orthographic view with a small focal length, and I will be using ray tracing in Marmoset. And right now you can see that I am plugging my different maps, and you can see that all the details are showing through the normal map, and I will be plugging each and every textures into their respective channels. For the occlusion, it is a bit too intense because I changed the occlusion intensity in Zbrush, but I can change the occlusion intensity from here as well. So I baked it a bit intensive, and because I can just tweak the intensity in here in Multimap toolbar. For the cavity, I will be tweaking the intensity as well, and you can see that this is how our character looks in after the baking. So you can see that this is how we can easily bake our textures from Zbrush, and hope you liked the video. See you in the next video.